Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Jank Think Tank, where we discuss all things Magic the Gathering, whether it be cards, combos, or deck techs. Today, as usual, I have my friend Josh with me. Oh, I got to go on the other side.
Woo! What's up, buddy? Oh, no, you're that way. You're that way.
It's opposite. Like,
dude, I was confused.
left,
I was
but you're
lost
on my
in
right.
a dungeon. I was venturing in a dungeon,
and
and
look,
those
think about it.
dungeons get what happens in the dungeon stays in
Stays
the
in the
dungeon.
dungeon, right? Oh,
That's not true. We know that's a bullface lie.
Well, today we are going to be discussing where the dungeon mechanic comes from. The Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. I was about to say a venture in the Forgotten Realms, and that's not right at all. Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Yeah. Oh well. But for those who don't know, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms is the Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering crossover that they've done recently with this last set. Lots of great cards from it. And today we're just going to be discussing our top 5 favorites plus some honorable mentions as usual. Let's just jump right into it then.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? First, I'm going to ask you this. How are you doing today, Josh?
I am figuring out what side I'm doing. I'm good. A little tired. Played some Commander last night. Got to run my Squirrel Tribal deck, although I went up against a rogue deck that just milled us all, so I didn't get a full playthrough of the way that I wanted. I'm still slightly salty. They milled away my Sword of Dungeons and Dragons and Earl of Squirrel. I was so excited to use that. Now, if you guys have never seen those cards, they're silver border cards.
Pretty cool. They're pretty cool.
And so it's not legal, but in my play group, they love the idea of how I was building the deck. And so they're like, yeah, sure, go for it. Mm-hmm. I'm even running cards like Kill Destroy, which is such a cool instant where whenever one of your opponents says kill or destroy, you can say gotcha. And if you do, you can bring that spell from your graveyard back into your hand and it destroys a non-black creature. So it's funny. And that's what I built the deck around, to be funny.
And that's how most Commander decks, in my opinion, should be. They should be built around the way you enjoy to play and the fact that you enjoy playing. So, like, build a goblin deck where all the goblins are wearing hats. Is it functional? Maybe.
I mean, it has the potential to create a ton of tokens and a lot of tokens, a lot of squirrels, double the squirrels, quadruple the squirrels if everything goes well. But unfortunately, it didn't do that last night. So it's fine. It's how some nights go. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Kind of like you, I'm kind of tired. I've been
when you hit that 20,000 follower mark on TikTok,
I'm not.
Y'all should be following him if you aren't.
Look, I wasn't going to talk about it, but
hey, I got to bring it up.
Okay, well, yeah, yeah. For some reason, people seem to recently start liking my videos, so I don't know. I'm playing a lot of things by ear with that, but it's really cool. If anybody of my followers on TikTok end up watching this, I just want to say thank you. It blows my mind. It really does. So I just want to say thank you. But anyways, cards. We're talking about Magic the Gathering here, not TikTok.
Yep. Let's see.
Your camera's starting to go out of focus a little bit.
Oh, roll a d20, it'll fix.
All right, let's see what I roll. Not looking good. What's your intelligence modifier? -2.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's a straight 8.
How about we start off? Let's do some honorable mentions before we get into our favorites.
All right, I'm cool with that.
So, good. This is your show.
All right. Well, my honorable mentions comes from the cycle of cards that came in, because we're talking about a Dungeons and Dragons set. So this set would not have been complete without dragons, of course. And so they did a cycle of dragons of the chromatic kind. I kind of hope they would do the metallic cycle as well. They kind of hinted at it with the adult gold dragon, but we saw a cycle of the chromatics, which are white, blue, black, red, and green in the color combination of MTG. And so first up we have is the black dragon. The black dragon, I feel, is the weakest of the 5.
Yeah.
Because it's 7 mana for a 4/4 flying that when it enters the battlefield, target creature and opponent controls get -3/-3 until end of turn. So it's 7 mana for a removal spell.
Yeah.
So I wasn't very impressed with this. I understand that, Wizards are also trying to, prevent cards from being overpowered and all that kind of stuff. But if this was 5 mana for 4/4, that target creature gets 3/3 or -3/-3. That would be infinitely a lot better than 7 mana. Plus, it would still be recently in the balance. Or if it was 7 mana for creatures and one opponent controls gets like -2/-2.
Yeah. I feel like these types of dragons in general are better cheated out. So if you're using something like Belby's Portal, which is an artifact that allows you to, I think it was like pay 3, tap it, and put a creature of the chosen type onto the battlefield from your hand. So it allows you to cheat them out super quick.
Or things like Quicksilver Amulet. Quicksilver Amulet is pay 4, tap it. You may put a creature you own in your hand onto the battlefield.
Yeah.
And fun fact, Quicksilver Amulet says you may put, not play. So it can't be countered.
Yeah.
Interesting little mechanic there. But that being said, I do enjoy the black dragons. I do enjoy the fact that it exists. I love dragons. And I know my other friend Josh, who runs an Esper dragon deck, was really excited to see some kind of support for not red and not green dragons.
Yeah.
Next up, we have white dragon. White dragon, 6 mana for white. When white dragon enters the battlefield, target creature and opponent controls, or tap target creature and opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So, enters the battlefield. He has like a 16/16 Ashaya on the battlefield. You tap it, so that way he can't tap it for mana, nor can he attack with it. It's a little bit of a control piece, kind of like with the black dragon. I'm very glad to see dragon support in not green and not red.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's coming from the Gruul player. I love green and red dragons. Absolutely love them. But we have seen an overabundance of them, in my opinion, recently. So it's very nice to see support somewhere else. 6 mana for 4/4. Decent.
So high.
It's still high, yeah, but it's not bad. Next up, we have the blue dragon. So blue dragon, 7 mana, just like with the black dragon, 5 blue. When the blue dragon enters the battlefield, until your next turn, target creature and opponent controls gets -3, -0, up to one other creature gets -2, -0, and up to one other target creature gets -1, -0. So it's a little bit, like I said, with the white dragon, it's a little bit of a control piece. If they have a bunch of big creatures on the battlefield and you're like, oh, if they swing at me next turn, it'll be exactly 0. It's a little bit of a way to prevent that. Also, it's really cool because the blue dragon's lightning breath is a line. It's a in Dungeons and Dragons, when you fight a blue dragon and it does its lightning breath, it's in a line that affects everything in that line. And so it's really cool to see that as kind of a mechanic in this as well. Same thing with the frost dragon and the black dragon. I can see what they were going with the black dragon because black dragon spit acid. And so it's breath weapon acid, which weakens the creature or slowly does damage over time.
Kind of has that toxic deluge feel to it.
With white dragon, it freezes. So freezing, we can't really freeze a creature in MTG, but the tapping them down
has the same effect.
Has kind of the same effect. Also, I love the artwork on this one. Absolutely love the artwork on this.
Yeah.
Especially the alternate art, the full art.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Next up.
Oh, we've got extra red dragons.
We got extra red dragons there. Red dragon. This one is definitely my favorite out of the 5. It's 4 red. When red dragon enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to each opponent. So where it doesn't clear the board, it does enter the battlefield, do damage to your opponents. I like that.
Yeah, very useful if you can blink it, put it into exile, bring it back, and just have that be a repeatable effect. It can wreak some havoc on the table. I feel the other dragons are more for, standard, modern, that sort of thing. But in here, red dragon is definitely geared more towards commander because of the fact that it says each opponent.
And next up, last but not least, we have the green dragon.
Notice how it saved the Gruul colors for last?
Yes. You know me so well. So the green dragon.
I hope so.
So the green dragon, where this one, it was really difficult choosing my favorite between this one and the red one. The red one I chose because you can, like I said, you can do multiple things with it. You can blink it, have multiple ETB effects. The green dragon, like with the other ones, it helps with control of the board. This one, outright, it doesn't, you have to like deal combat damage or deal damage to an opponent's creature enabled to destroy it. But there's a combo that I believe I've mentioned before on this channel with the green dragon. It's super jank. I absolutely love it. But basically what you do is you tutor it. I'm trying to think of the tutor. Unmarked Grave. Unmarked Grave is the 1 black tutor where you can find a creature card, put it into your graveyard, then you reanimate green dragon. It goes onto the battlefield. So you're looking at 1 black so far, and then you cast Blazing Volley, which is 1 red, and it deals 1 damage to each creature on the battlefield.
Yeah,
or each opponent's creature on the battlefield. I can't remember off the top of my head which one it is, but it's a 4-mana board wipe if you do it that way. Like I said, it's super jank.
Or play green dragon, okay, and then showing my janky thought, have Pestilence.
Pestilence, yeah.
Because I can totally spell. So Pestilence is fun because it deals 1 damage to each creature. So if you have green dragon come in on the battlefield, it's essentially now marked all of your opponent's creatures. You only need to activate Pestilence once, and it becomes a 1-sided board wipe. It's like a nastier version of Cyclonic Rift. For actually, because especially if you already have this on the battlefield.
If you already have Pestilence on the battlefield and then cast green dragon, it's just green dragon CMC and that 1 black. But you have to already have Pestilence on the battlefield. And what's Pestilence CMC? 4. 2 black.
But you figure by that time, if you're about to pull this combo off, you're going to have the mana to be able to do it. Now, the other cool thing is if you have something like Blood Artist on the battlefield, or you really want to get nasty. Speaking of jank,
if you let's see,
we play Natural Affinity. You make all of the land, all lands, 2/2 creatures. You have Pestilence on the battlefield already.
That's so
play green dragon, activate Pestilence once. Not only does it kill all their lands, it kills all their creatures. And then if you have something like Blood Artist or Zulaport Cutthroat, then they're taking the damage. This could, in effect, become a winning combo.
I can definitely see that, especially when you get rid of their lands. Because any type of land hate in Commander, it's such a big game. Because Commander, you have your 100-card deck. You're going to fill your deck with multiple spells, either a high CMC or multiple low CMCs or somewhere in between, just a lot of stuff. And you need your lands to cast those cards.
Yeah.
So if someone's like has 7 lands on the battlefield on like turn 5, they're ahead of the game. They've ramped out a bit, and then you just get rid of their lands. They're going to be set back.
Yeah,
heavily.
I did something similar like this last night when I was playing. But I was doing it because it was getting late. And I was just trying to be mindful of time. I knew if I wiped the board, destroyed everyone's lands, that we'd be like, okay, yeah, we're all done. Yep, you win. Okay, have a good night. We'll see you next week. It's not something I personally push for a lot of land destruction, although lately my decks have included it. So I don't know if that means I'm sick in the head, but but no, Green Dragon I think was probably the strongest and the most the one dragon that you could abuse the most.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but
especially like with the others, if you cheat them out.
Yeah.
But those are my honorable mentions. I wanted to cover the chromatic set because chromatic dragons felt like I needed to be mentioned in this deck.
Yeah.
There's also a 5-color dragon that may or may not come up later. I don't know. But
I don't know. So my honorable mention, it's more of the art style, but it is the module cards. So I want to bring this up. I love this style that they have included. I never thought I would be so excited.
Absolutely love it.
Evolving Wilds. They did this with all the lands like Treasure Vault.
Here's a Cave of the Dragon.
Yeah, here, let me do this. Boop, 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 boop. There we go.
There we go.
Cave
of the Frost Dragon. We've got Lair of the Hydra. We have Hive of the Eye Tyrant. And these are just the ones I pulled. Lair of the Dragon.
There's honestly not that many of the module ones. But yeah, super cool looking cards. I really feel this brought a lot of the D&D flavor to the game. So definitely an honorable mention. I never thought I'd be so excited to pull an Evolving Wilds out of a pack.
Normally you're like, oh,
hey ho,
Wilds.
Right? But this one I'm just like, oh, sleeve it. But yeah, so that's my honorable mention.
All right.
So
well, cool.
All right.
So
our favorites in no particular order.
In no particular order.
What do you want to go with?
Let's start with Deadly Dispute. So the way I kind of picked mine is I picked one mythic, one rare, one uncommon, and one common.
Okay.
To kind of, go over the range of cards. And Deadly Dispute was my pick for the common. It's 1 black instant as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact or a creature. Draw 2 cards and create a treasure token for 2 mana.
Yeah.
2 mana. So you have a token on the battlefield. Deadly Dispute, get rid of the token. You don't really need it. You get 2 cards and mana ramp.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even on some cards where it says draw 2 cards, more than likely you're going to be discarding 2 cards or discarding the card. Sacrificing an artifact or a creature to draw 2 cards and do mana ramp is not that bad of a trade-off.
No, especially with the pests that we were getting in Strixhaven, where whenever a pest dies, you gain a life. So you sacrifice a pest, you gain a life, you draw 2 cards. Yeah, the trade-off and the combos with this, and the fact that it, like you said, it's a 2-drop instant.
Mm-hmm. Very, very good card. Mm-hmm. That's very handy in Pauper.
Yes.
Very, very good in Pauper. I can see this being a lot of play. And the caveat where you have an artifact, a food token. Get rid of a food token. Let's say you're sitting good on life. You don't really need it. It's just kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
Sacrifice the food token, draw 2 cards, and create a treasure token.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, you have a lot of treasure tokens, but you don't need all of them. So get rid of one, draw 2 cards, create another one.
Yeah.
It's especially if you're sacrificing a treasure token to do this, because you're not losing anything.
Yeah.
Let's say you cast this with a treasure token. You're essentially casting it for 1 mana because you're going to get that other one right back.
Yeah. But the nice thing is you're able to use that mana for that treasure token later. Or if you're playing an affinity deck, you're going to get the benefit from having another artifact token. So lot of pluses. And the fact that it's only a 30-cent card, but for a common, that's actually pretty high for a common.
You're right. It is kind of high.
Sitting at 32 cents. Now, the set's still early on, so the secondary market's still very volatile. Will it go down? Maybe. But I see this being used a lot, both, as you said, in Pauper, but I can see it in Commander as well.
Definitely.
Like it. Let's see.
Where are we going next? Josh? What's your pick?
Let's go a very, very fun, not Celestial Mantle.
That's not from this set, Josh.
Although I will admit that is a fantastic card.
It's a very good card.
No, Celestial Unicorn. This is my pick for the common. So 2 and a white for a 3/2 unicorn that says whenever you gain life, you put a 1/1 counter on Celestial Unicorn. It's like a Johnny's Pride Mate. There's so many cards that have this triggered ability. Whenever you gain life, you put a 1/1 counter on it. So
Soul Bond, if I remember correctly, Soul Bond was one of the original mechanics that says that whenever you gain life, you put that many +1/+1 counters on this creature.
Oh yeah.
Or
now,
Sunbond.
The cool thing is it also has the sketch art, which I love this artwork. So cool. Love it. A lot of synergy. This can definitely be used and abused, not only in standard, because we've seen a lot of with Magecraft and all these other life gain abilities that just get so janky. This can become all of a sudden a heavy hitter. You put a lot of +1 counters on it, and this little 3/2 unicorn can effectively win games.
Quickly go get into a larger unicorn.
And the fact that it's only 8 cents for this version or 7 for the classic, I definitely feel this is a very underrated card.
I can see it.
So
2 and a white, it's pretty easy. Pretty good.
Yeah. You mix it up with Impassioned Order. Whenever a creature comes into play, you gain a life. Cool. Put a counter on Celestial Unicorn. Combo that with Iridescent Horn Beetle. I think
whenever a +1/+1 counter is put on.
Yeah, so at the beginning of your end step, create a 1/1 green insect creature token for each +1/+1 counter you put on creatures.
Yes.
You control this turn. This can get out of hand real quick. And so with that combo of Impassioned Order or Soul Warden or Essence Warden, you're gaining all these lives. And then Celestial Unicorn just gets bigger and bigger. Give it some form of protection, hexproof, shroud, well, not shroud.
Don't
give it shroud. Just hexproof. And then, like I said, that thing can win you games.
For those who don't know, the difference between shroud and hexproof is that hexproof prevents your opponents from targeting the creature you control. Shroud prevents it from being targeted by anybody. So that's including yourself.
Yep. So yep, that one is that was my pick, and I didn't realize that was a common, but it kind of worked. So
next up, so I ended up replacing a card on my list. It was going to be in the uncommon slot. I was going to talk about Feywild Trickster, which is pretty good, but this next card I enjoyed a lot more than that, and it ended up bumping up into the rare slot. Tasha's Hideous Laughter. First and foremost, this spell in Dungeons and Dragons is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Basically, you go to cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter, you tell a joke. The person who is on the receiving end, the person you are targeting, they have to make a wisdom save or it's wisdom save. And if they fail, they fall prone laughing and don't stop until they succeed a wisdom save. And so it's great. Absolutely love it. But in Magic the Gathering, Tasha's Hideous Laughter is 1 blue sorcery. Each opponent. Ooh, excuse me. Okay. He's failed his wisdom save.
Oh, bother.
All right, Winnie the Pooh. Oh, bother. Anyways, Tasha's Hideous Laughter says each opponent exiles cards from the top of his or her library or their library until that player has exiled cards with total mana value 20 or more. So in a mill style deck, this is great. And actually, in any Spellslinger deck, this is great. It's a great way of control, prevention, retention, whatever you want to call it. Couple this with cards that allow you to cast opponent stuff out of exile. It's pretty good. I do love the fact that they said mana value of 20 or more. So it has a very defined limit.
Yeah.
And so and since it's 20, not 10 or 15, 20 is a really high number. So you can get a lot of good cards from this, especially
goblins. Allurus of the Dream Den deck, where everything has to have a mana value of what, 2 or less?
I think it's 3 or less, but yeah.
Yeah.
2. I think you're right. 2 or less. 2 or less.
Yeah. This can wreck a lot of those super aggro, super fast decks where you're only running 1 or 2 drops.
In MTG Arena, I've seen this play a few times. And notably, the decks that I was running were not small creatures, but it's incredibly frustrating when I see my Kogla, the Titan Ape, go into exile, when I see my Tarask go into exile, and all sorts of my big spells that I'm wanting to depend on to be able to end the game are suddenly not there. True, they only get rid of like the top 4, 5, 6 cards of my deck, but they may have been like my best cards in the deck. They have been my win cons in the deck.
I think the other thing to note, and this card does a really good job being very clear, where it says that each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until that player has exiled a total mana value of 12.
Or 20.
Mana value of 20. What is the mana value of a land?
It's 0.
0. So you get a clump of one of your opponent's libraries where they have like 4 or 5 lands in there. That's going to hurt. And that's going to hurt bad.
Especially when they're behind on mana.
Oh, yeah. I think if that happened to me and this was played and I exiled like 5 or 6 lands, I'd be like, that's it, I scoop.
It hurts.
It does. So yeah, this one, and you know the hideous laughter is the one coming from the person who played it. Yeah, you have to use a poker face if you top deck this and go,
and then hope that it resolves.
Right.
My suggestion is if you put this in a blue deck, if you go to cast this,
you better have
enough mana for a counter spell with it, because someone will try to get rid of it.
Right. That.
I know. If I play with my other friends, one of my friends who plays at least like 5 counter spells in every deck that he plays, because he's that guy. He's that guy. He loves playing counter spells. Even in his Esper Dragons deck, he has multiple counter spells. He built a deck specifically around counter spells. Yeah, and so if I'm playing against him, and he has his whole Omen Engine thing combo out, and I go to Tasha's Hideous Laughter, he's like, yeah, counter that. I'm definitely going to want to have a counter spell in my hand when I go to cast this.
So the fun one that I would use with this, or what deck I would put this in, is my Circu Demir Lobotomist deck. Whenever you play a blue spell, remove the top card of target library from the game. Whenever you play a black spell, remove the top card of target library from the game. Now, here's where it gets really fun. Your opponents can't play non-land cards with the same name as a card removed from the game with Sorcerer Class Lobotomist. You exile someone's Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Lightning Greaves, Swiftfoot Boots, any of those staple equipment or artifacts. Your host, you exile someone's Cyclonic Rift. Well, at least you don't have to worry about Cyclonic Rift being played.
And it does say opponents, so you get one person. The rest of your opponents in your 4-player commander pod can't cast those spells,
but you can. So yeah, that card, that Hideous Laughter card, goes great with this deck.
All the lower spells that allow mana ramp, such as Opt or Anticipate,
Cultivate.
Oh my god, Cultivate. Yeah,
Crossing Grip, Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares. I mean, you can really wreck and control a game
with that little combo. Yeah, that's I need to get my hands on this combo right now.
Well, okay, so funny you mentioned that, like Sorcerer Class Lobotomist from City of Guilds, only $1.42, or you get the Guild Kit version and it's only $1.38.
Hey, pretty budget, and you know that's what I'm all about. Budget.
This is a fun commander to build around. It's a hard one to build around, but possible. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you didn't expect that one, did you?
I did not. And I've been trying to build like an exile tribal deck for a while, and so that I haven't been able to find a commander. Now I know who I'm going to get.
You're welcome.
Yes. And the majority of the deck is built around like Eldrazi's and stuff. So from like Battle for Zendikar that allow you to return cards from exile to the graveyard for benefits and stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the deck is built around. All these little jank combos with the Eldrazi's or just exile. Sire Stagnation is one of the biggest cards I have in the deck. Because Sire Stagnation says that whenever pull it up so I can. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player exiles the top 2 cards of his or her library, and I draw 2 cards.
Oof. You know, another one that would go great with that.
Altar of Dementia?
No, that's not the one I want. Altar of the Brood.
Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent puts the top card of his or her library into his or her graveyard. And
then you can really start, having some fun. Same thing with Altar of Dementia. Oh, because I can spell sacrifice a creature, target
opponent. Mills.
Equal to the power.
Yeah.
And then Bajuka Bog, their graveyard. Another fun one, if you're wanting to go that exile route, Grip of Amnesia. Great counter spell. So 1 in a blue, counter target spell unless its controller removes his or her graveyard from the game, and then you draw a card.
I may have to get a hand on that. How much is that one? Like 26 cents?
16.
16 cents.
And this goes all the way back to the set Judgment.
Ooh, it's been a minute. Been a hot minute since
and
then.
It's a common.
Popper?
Yeah. I've used this one a time or two, and it's one of those ones when you play it, people are like, wait, what? Let me see that card for a second. Is
that actually what it says?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, so going back to Hideous Laughter.
Adventures in Forgotten Realms.
Yeah. So many things. I think Exile Tribal is fun.
Yes. But that was my pick. You're up next, Josh.
Oh, yes. So this has to be okay. You know what? We'll go this route. Oh my goodness. My typing skills today. Treasure Vault. Such a cool artifact land. You can tap to add colorless, or you can pay XX, tap, sacrifice treasure vault to create X treasure tokens.
Mm-hmm.
Such a cool utility land. The cool thing and the janky combo that I see with this, if you really need to make that explosive play that you know you're going to be able to win, you can dump a whole bunch of mana into this, create a bunch of treasure tokens, and then if you have something like Blink Moth Urn, where at the beginning of each player's pre-combat main phase, so this is after your upkeep, after your draw, so your first main phase, if Blink Moth Urn is untapped, that player adds colorless mana for each artifact they control. So you sacrifice Treasure Vault, you have a whole bunch of treasure tokens, you're going to get a whole lot of colorless mana to be able to dump into something without having to tap and sacrifice those.
One that I was thinking of was it was a deck that we saw, or it was a card that was played in a deck we saw recently on game night. It was Brutaclad.
Oh yes,
Brutaclad. If you're sitting on a bunch of artifacts, on a bunch of treasure tokens that you don't really need, you can turn them into creatures with Brutaclad, and then double that with Treasure Vault.
Yes.
Another one that I was that I kind of popped into my brain was if you own a doubling season.
Oh yes,
doubling season doubles the amount of tokens you create, and so instead of paying XX, you're essentially just paying X. Well, technically, you're still paying XX, but like, you know, if you sacrifice 4 treasure tokens to put 2 into Treasure Vault, you're still creating 4 treasure tokens because doubling season doubles the tokens.
Same thing with Parallel Lives. Same thing with Anointed Procession.
I think Anointed Procession only targets creatures. Definitely look that one up. I think Anointed Procession only hits creatures. I could be wrong. One or more tokens. There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
The fun one that I like with this, and I actually have it in my deck, is with it's in my squirrel deck.
Hey, Chatterfang.
If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus that many 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens are created instead.
Well, there you have it.
So make a bunch of treasures, and if you got doubling season or Anointed Procession out, make double that, and then all the squirrels, and watch the Eldrazi run in fear, because squirrels will kill Eldrazi.
That's the joke that we have in the MTG community. You know, it's like big, powerful flying spaghetti monster, bunch of squirrels,
kill. But yeah, and the other thing, and we mentioned it in the earlier, but the module style for Treasure Vault is just pretty
wonderful, beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. This land is a little more on the pricey side. You're looking at about $7 just for the regular version. I'd have to look at, let's see, TCG Player, very helpful. Yeah, so you're still looking around $10 for this. So is it very budget friendly? No, but it can be useful. So,
all right. So next up, we have Guardian of Faith. Guardian of Faith, what is the Teferi's protection on a creature. So once again, I had to change out my last one for Tasha's Hideous Laughter, which bumped that up into the rare slot, and I decided to keep this one just because
it's so good.
It's so good. It's 1 white for a creature Spirit Knight with Flash and Vigilance. And whenever Guardian of Faith enters the battlefield, any number of other target creatures you control phase out. So someone's trying to Cyclonic Rift, or someone's trying to board wipe your creatures. You've got the primary board state. Do Flashing Guardian of Faith, and it protects your board.
Yeah.
It does say creatures. So if someone's like trying to destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments, for example, they cast planar cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
It does only protect your creatures, but it's still a really good card, especially for only 1 and double white. How much is Teferi's protection?
Oh, let's see.
It's like I don't remember the CMC of it.
So Teferi's protection.
Okay, it's also free.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, Teferi's protection is about a $20 card.
Mm-hmm. Whereas with Guardian of Faith, it's
$3.
$3.
Yep.
So definitely a more budget-friendly option.
Yeah. Another fun combo. If we want to get janky, say you have a player like Josh that plays the natural, affinity stuff. Someone plays natural affinity to make all of your lands creatures. Flash in Guardian of Faith, phase them out. Your lands are protected. Everybody else's blows up.
Great, wonderful card. But and I'm really glad that they reintroduced the phase mechanic, because Teferi's protection and a few other cards we saw it and it was really confusing, like way back when they first introduced it. But now that people seem to have a fundamentally better understanding of how phasing works, I'm really glad that they're starting to bring that back in.
Yeah, they brought that it was M21, so the core set M21 with Teferi Master of Time.
Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely a useful ability to have. So,
and I'm glad that they're not overprinting it too.
No,
it's not something that like almost every creature has. It's kind of like what they did with Cascade or the leveling mechanic. They're not overprinting the card and making it so that every color in the color wheel has that.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No, I love it.
Also, this goes with my Tribal Knights deck, and so it's definitely going to be included in it.
Oh, yes.
Sir Gwyn. Sir Gwyn is my commander for that. So
I like it. All right. I'm excited for this one. And this is very on point with D&D.
Very on point.
Juan T. Malison. This is for 1 and a blue, a snake rogue. It's a 2/1. The snake.
Slytherin snake.
You know what? I hope the professor appreciates my reference to what he did. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, it's hey, look, he was committed to the joke, so I respect him.
True.
He was committed.
So this is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form by Tolarian Community College, but seriously, go check his channel out because it's great. It is absolutely great. Anyway, back to Juan T. Juan T. Malison can be blocked as long as it's attacking alone. And then whenever Juan T. Malison does combat damage to a player, venture into the dungeon. So this has a couple unique abilities. One, obviously, if it attacks by itself, can't be blocked. So you're going to be able to do some damage. And then you're able to really utilize the mechanic that is unique for Adventures in the Forgotten Realm, being able to venture through a dungeon. So there's a couple ways that you can really approach this card. You can do a Voltron approach, load up a whole bunch of equipment on it, and really hit hard for damage, or utilize the dungeons as kind of your, let's get that advantage in the game. I've actually been doing both. This is now become an auto include in my rogues deck. So the mini precon that came out with Zendikar Rising with Anawan, I put this one in because not only are you able to utilize Juan T's ability to get through, if you want to flash in the Aquaman looking, the rogue that you can flash in that has like the pseudo ninjutsu, Xerath San.
Yes.
So Xerath San, the trickster,
5 CMC.
Yeah, but with Xerath San, you want to be able to utilize the ability. So for 2 black and a blue, return an unblocked attacking rogue you control to its owner's hand. Put Xerath San, the trickster, from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. Whenever Xerath San deals combat damage to a player, you may put target permanent card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So that little combo and interaction is really, really helpful, especially if you're going to be milling your opponent and then stealing their stuff. Super cool. I love the artwork on this as well. So this has become one of my favorites, not only in Commander, but I'm also building a standard and a modern deck around it. So it'll be interesting to see how those work.
Modern rogues?
Ooh. Yeah.
Interested to see how that works. I'm not a modern player, but we're interested.
Well, when you have cards like Mind Crank, whenever an opponent loses life, they mill that many cards.
Yeah.
And then being able to use Xerath San, it can get pretty janky. And there's other stuff that I'll talk about later on that also works well with this. But 1T. Definitely a fun creature.
It's something.
You don't feel the same way.
It's something. It's fun to play, not play against.
True.
All right. Anyways, my next up on the list is going to be, once again, I have a lot of blue and black creatures that I've listed as my favorite so far. Something's weird. That's not my next one. My next one is going to be Xanathar. I wanted to pick a multicolored card just because. This one I've seen a lot of play against in oh god, my neighbor's mowing.
That's good.
Okay. Well, I've seen a lot of play against in MTG Arena. And it's frustrating. It really is. Because, at the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent. Until end of turn, that player can't cast spells. You may look at the top card of their library at any time, and you may play the top card of their library and spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast spells this way.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up, dude. Like, is it that hard to not mow at 4:30? Is it that?
How about this? I got a crazy idea. Crazy idea. Actually, do I have it? You know what? Let's run a quick ad for one of our other shows on the Undercover Capes Podcast Network while the neighbor finishes up their stupid mowing job. Here we go.
Hey.
There you have it. Crisis in the Toyverse. If you're all about action figures, toys, that sort of thing, Bobomek does a fantastic job. And I mean, his reviews on some of the stuff is fantastic. I have the Mandalorian bust, and his review is spot on this one. It is a gorgeous statue. So check that out. Anyway, back to Xanathar.
Xanathar, Guild Kingpin. So 4 black blue. So once again, Demir gets another commander that they can use. But this one, it's really fun to play. Just like with the Yuan-Ti, it's fun to play, not fun to play against. Because, let's say you're the opponent. The opponent has this on the battlefield. They go to cast their big stuff, and you have like 3-4 counter spells in hand to prevent them from doing their stuff. You can't play them because your opponent can't cast spells during your turn if you have this on the battlefield. So any kind of their interaction, removal, counter spells, they can't do it while it's the person who has this on the battlefield's turn. Also, the fact that you can essentially steal cards from the top of their library, including lands, because it does say play, not cast. It says you may play the top card of their library. So if you're low on lands and they have a forest on the top of their battlefield, you can be like, that's mine now.
Yeah. Oh, you got a Gaia's Cradle? Thank you.
Thanks, Mud. Man, I really appreciate you giving me your cards. It's really fun to play. I personally think this is a really powerful card. I mean, it's Xanathar. He has to be powerful. Xanathar has his own book. Xanathar's Guide to Every... Oh my God, what is the name of the book? It's Volo's Guide to Monsters and Xanathar's something. I'd have to look
Xanathar's Guide to Everything?
Yes, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Also, he's a really funny character. He's technically not a beholder. He's an observer. But we won't go into the semantics of that. But really cool, really classic, D&D character, Xanathar. I had to pick him simply for that fact alone, is the fact that, he's a big character in the Dungeons and Dragons universe. In my current D&D campaign, he is the magic shop owner that we always go to. And he also runs his guild in the basement, and then on the top is his magic store. And so our D&D campaign, we've made friends with him, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, everybody?" And so it's really fun. That's the voice that our DM gave him. He's like, yeah, sure. Come on.
I don't know about you, but the artwork on this has a Jabba the Hutt feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that would be Princess Leia right there. Irony?
I can see it, but that doesn't mean I like it.
Just run with it.
I'll run with it. I'll run with it, yeah.
Just run with it. Now, Xanathar is, as you said, very powerful, fun to have as your commander, not fun to play against.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're going to be playing this deck, playing this as a commander, prepare for the game to shift to archenemy. It will turn to a 3-1.
Just like with Sin Triplets. For those who don't know, Sin Triplets is, if anybody in your commander pod brings out Sin Triplets, get rid of them first.
Yeah, kick them out. Send triplets at the beginning of your upkeep. Choose target opponent. This turn, that player can't cast spells or activate abilities and plays with their hand revealed. You may play lands and cast spells from that player's hand this turn.
Xanathar is essentially Sin Triplets without white.
Yeah, so if someone says, hey, if you're having the rule zero conversation, talk about the decks, and someone says send triplets, you kick them out just about as fast as someone saying they're playing Kozilek.
Mm-hmm. You typically turn to them and go, are you sure?
Are you sure? Do you want to have friends?
Because I will switch decks right now to prevent this from happening.
I've done that. When people say, oh, I'm going to play this, I'm like, oh,
switch decks.
Yep.
Oh, you're playing a power 8 deck compared to my power 2? Oh, let me switch out to a more powerful deck then.
Oh, you're playing Xanathar? Cool. Let me get the deck that has Nevermore. Nevermore will effectively shut this down.
The only difference between Xanathar and Sin Triplets is that Xanathar says that you play with the opponent plays with their top card of their library. You interact with the top card of their library. Send triplet says the hand.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it does allow for a little easier deck manipulation too. Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, it's as you said, it fits the flavor of Xanathar.
It does. I don't want to imagine Xanathar's flavor. I imagine he's kind of slimy,
kind of a douche.
Slimy douche, same difference, right?
Right. Let's move on. Move on.
Quick.
So the next cards that I'm going to be focusing on is a new enchantment cycle that they brought in, and it's the class cycle of cards. So these enchantments, very similar to the sagas. It's like if sagas and the level up cards had a one night stand, out comes the classes. But it's really useful because they stay on the battlefield. They have static abilities. So I'll take the rogue class, for example. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library. You may look at it for as long as it remains exiled. The level 2 creatures you control have menace. Level 3, you may play cards exiled with rogue class, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. So useful. This went into my rogue deck. Kind of a no-brainer.
Definitely.
The kicker with especially the level 3 on this one is, yes, you can use mana of any color to cast the spells, but if it has any activated abilities, you have to meet that color requirement. So just keep that in mind.
I was going to see if I could just pull over the classes because I pulled quite a few of them, but I don't know where they are. So
the next one, Cleric Class, definitely playing off of the life gain. If you would gain life, you gain that much life +1. Level 2, whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, very similar to what Celestial Unicorn was doing. It's also kind of similar to what Heliod Suncrown does. And then level 3, whenever this class becomes level 3, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. You gain life equal to its toughness. So, definitely a fun one there. Is it the Monk class is the next one?
The Azorius one.
Yeah. So Monk class, again, you kind of see these static abilities. So super cool. I love that they did this.
My favorite is the Sorcerer class because it's quite literally Storm Sorcerer. When Sorcerer class enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. Level it up. Creatures you control have tap, add blue or red. Spend this mana only to cast an instant or sorcery spell or to gain a class level. Yeah. And then that last ability is why it's so powerful. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, that spell deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of instant and sorcery spells you've cast this turn. Not instant or sorcery, instant and sorcery spells you've cast this turn. So
storm effect.
Storm. Any spell slinger deck that you're casting multiple spells in a turn, copying multiple spells, this can quickly get out of hand. Couple this with Sentinel Tower and Aetherflux Reservoir.
I was thinking this.
Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, scry 1. If that spell's mana value is 5 or greater, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. If that spell mana value is 10 or greater, Supply Thunder Collector deals 10 damage to an opponent chosen at random.
Oof.
Another good one. It does say spell has to have a mana value of 10 or greater. So things like Zakama wouldn't affect it, but Galta would. Because Zakama is 9 CMC or mana value, but Galta is 12.
Yeah. Or
Omniscience.
Yep, Omniscience. Fantastic one.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a good one. But yeah, just the whole classes in general, I think did a great job, not only enhancing specifically commander gameplay,
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it really brings more Dungeons and Dragons feel into it, because this is another aspect of Dungeons and Dragons.
Sorcerer class is one of the classes that you can pick when you are creating a character. Storm Sorcerer is one of the subclasses of Sorcerer that you can pick. Storm, Shadow, Dragon Blood Sorcerer. There's all sorts of things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Barbarian. Oh, I love the Barbarian.
Yep, Barbarian also utilizes, and something we haven't really touched on in this, but it utilizes the dice rolling. Mm-hmm. So you're getting a benefit off of rolling a d20. So
it's pretty great. The Barbarian. So this, if you would roll one or more dice, instead roll that many dice plus one and ignore the lowest roll. This is essentially a feat in Dungeons and Dragons that they put into this class. It's called Great Weapon Master. Great mm-hmm. Weapon Master states that whenever you roll damage with a heavy, quote unquote, heavy weapon, you ignore the lowest roll. Mm-hmm. So, like, let's say you roll 1 on damage, re-roll it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty great.
Yeah. No, definitely a lot of fun. So I love the fact that they put in these classes. So great.
The Druid allows you to play extra lands per turn. The Ranger allows you to create tokens. The Wizard draws you cards and puts +1/+1 counters on creatures you control whenever you draw a card. Mm-hmm. And no maximum hand size. That alone is great.
Yeah. That static ability for a 1-drop. Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
You mean I don't have to discard down to 7 cards?
No.
At my end step?
No. And imagine if you get this out turn 1.
It's pretty great. You just never discard anything. Just keep on drawing.
So turn 1.
Just keep drawing. Just keep drawing.
Just keep drawing. What do we do when we draw? I
love to draw all the cards. Okay, I'll stop.
But, so if you have this, turn 1, play Wizard class. Turn 2, Mystic Remora. Rack in those cards.
Or Ristic Study.
Do you want to pay the 1? 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 So if
you know what? Yes, I'll pay the 1.
So if you don't know what Ristic Study is, what rock are you living under? But Ristic Study, for 2 and a blue, whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. And now that Hull Breacher has been banned. Darn.
I'm not darn. I'm thank you.
You're right. Now, if they have, Narset, Parter Veils, then yeah. But, yep, classes, fantastic.
Hey, I've cast Hull Breacher. Now everybody wheel. Anyways, the last card I'm going to talk about is Inferno of the Star Mounts. So, we've talked, in this set, there's a lot of treasure tokens, right? There's a lot of ways to create treasure tokens. There's a lot of way to, either duplicate them or get mana to cast your spells. Mm-hmm. Inferno of the Star Mounts is one of my favorite mythics out of this set. It's a red dragon. Yes, we're not going to talk about that. It's 4 red, legendary creature dragon. This spell can't be countered. That's very important in as of itself. Mm-hmm. The fact that you go to cast this and people are like, oh gosh, he has so much mana, I got to get rid of it. You can't counter it. It's great. Now, once it hits the battlefield, you can path to exile it. You can remove it, destroy target creature. You can murder it. But it has flying and haste, and you can pay red. Inferno of the Star Mount gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So essentially fire breathing. But when its power becomes 20 this way, it deals 20 damage to any target.
That's non-combat damage.
Non-combat damage. So, before I get into my jank mindset here, first and foremost, you have to have 14 red. 14 red on the battlefield to be able to pump it to 20 to deal 20 damage to something.
Do you really?
Yes, because that's the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum to hit 20. 14.
Oh, that's before we get janky.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
before
okay.
Yeah, 14 to get.
Pay attention, Josh.
Yes. So you pump it up to 20, deal 20 damage. So late game, which is more than likely when you're going to be casting this because it is 6 mana. Someone hopefully is down to 20 or less life or close to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just down them. Or if they have an Ashaya on the battlefield. I say Ashaya a lot because I love Ashaya. Ashaya is a creature that, when it enters the battlefield, all your non-token creatures become forest, and its P&T is equal to the number of forests you control. So, wonderful card. Love it. But they have an Ashaya, and you're playing against mono green deck, so it's like a 16-16. Now you deal 20 damage to it. It's gone.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Love the card. Absolutely love it. My favorite thing with this, though, is not only do you have ways like a mana flare that allow you to double your mana. There's all sorts of mana doublers, but there's things such as like a Seething Song. Yes, Seething Song allows you to add red to your mana pool. It's pay 3, get more mana. Just Guys will add red for each card in target opponent's hand. A lot of ways to get mana enough to do this 20 damage. But I'm thinking of things like spells that allow you to, at the beginning of each opponent's end step, they lose life equal to the number of life they've lost this turn.
I feel like this would
I'm forgetting the name of the card. I
feel like this would be good in a no, hold on. I can see the card. No, what's it? Yarok? No, Yarok the Desecrated is different.
Yeah,
it was Commander Legends. Hold on a second.
Well, I'll go while my brain is trying to desperately think of this card's name. It's at the beginning. There's Dictative Crufix as well, which doubles damage. There's Heart of Wrath. I want to say the card is called, where it doubles damage doublers, all sorts of stuff. Each opponent loses life equal to the life they've lost this way. I want to say it's a black spell. Don't know why I can't think of this. But there's also things one mechanic called Infect that you can give. Because it says when its power becomes 20 this way, it deals 20 damage to any target. If it just said deal 20 damage to any target, you wouldn't be able to work with the Infect. You wouldn't be able to. Yeah, Grafted Exoskeleton. But
Grafted Exoskeleton, Tainted Strike.
But since Inferno of the Star Mount specifically says it deals 20 damage to any target, give it Infect. Boom. You can instantly, no matter if they were like 104 life, they're an infinite life gain deck.
Yeah.
Once they hit those 10 poison counters, they lose the game.
I feel like this Inferno of the Star Mounts is what Shivan Dragon should have been.
Except back then, because, Shivan Dragon, they were still, developing the game. They were still figuring things out. And Shivan Dragon was powerful in its own right. This is where we get the term Fire Breathing from Shivan Dragons, because you pay red, Shivan Dragon gets +1/+0 until end of turn.
Yeah. So really, Inferno of the Star Mounts is a better version of Shivan Dragon.
And my mind, what I think of this is either Thordak from Critical Role or Smog from Lord of the Rings. Red dragons, big red dragons that do things.
Yeah.
But this one was my favorite out of the named chromatic dragons. You also have Old Gnawbone. You have Imlereth.
I have Old Gnawbone in my.
Hey, as your next one.
Oh, so it's not my next one, but
okay.
I actually put this one in my squirrel deck
because it's great.
Because whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens.
And
now, sit with me here. Imagine this. Okay, you have 15 squirrels. And 10 of those squirrels do combat damage. You create 10 treasure tokens. Oh, but wait, you have doubling season, so you create 20 treasure tokens. And then Chatterfang's on the battlefield. And now you've just created another 20 squirrels. No, 40 squirrels. Because you stack the triggers right.
With doubling season?
Yep. So yeah, I put this one in the squirrel deck for a good reason. Not only for mana, but to create all those tokens and then
it also
squirrels.
So this is what I was going to discuss, because this is actually a very good distinction. It's not specified on the card, but the way the rules work and finding out through MTG Arena, it's not counting how many creatures deal combat damage. It's counting how much damage is dealt. So each of those squirrel tokens, if they're all 1/1s, those 10 squirrel 1/1s, you create 10 tokens.
Mm-hmm.
If they're 2/2s, you create 20. If they're 3/3s, you create 30, so on and so forth, because it's tracking how much damage is dealt and not. That's why I said this card is kind of busted, because it's tracking how much damage is dealt and not how many creatures are dealing combat damage.
I read that wrong because I play. I've got enchantments that build up the power of. Oh my god!
Yeah, because I thought it was the other way too until I played it on MTG Arena and I swung in with a 10/10 trample and the dude blocked it with a 2/2. I thought I was just going to create one treasure token.
No,
I created 8.
I am so happy I put that in the deck.
Yeah. It's kind of. I don't want to say dumb,
but it's dumb.
And I feel like Wizards should have made this a little bit more clear on that. Because, like I said, it's really weird with how it's worded. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. I'm telling you from my experience in Arena.
Yeah.
And it could be a fault in Arena's gameplay. It could be, because I'm still I'm still questioning it. I'm still trying to figure out how this works. But in Arena, every single time I've played it, I've created tokens equal to the amount of damage dealt.
Okay, so here's where so there's no official ruling on Gatherer yet.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do look at the wording of it, where it says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many. So while it doesn't clearly say create, because if it said whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, create a treasure token.
Mm-hmm.
It's create that many. So it is really interpretation of it. Combine that with what you've experienced on Arena, makes sense. But yeah, surprisingly, didn't make my top spot.
Really?
Yeah, no.
But yeah, the name Chromatic Dragons are really good. Icing Death was the only one I was kind of disappointed in, because when it dies, you create a artifact equipment. Or Icing Death is the name, not Frosting Death.
Icing Death, yeah.
Yeah. You create the equipment named Frost Tongue. The Ebon Death, you can cast Flash.
Ebon Death is one that would be fun to build around.
Mm-hmm. If it's in your graveyard, you can cast it from your graveyard. ETB's tapped.
But you can avoid commander tax with that.
You can avoid commander tax. And so first time you cast it, let's say you cast it from your commander, someone removes it, have it go to the graveyard every time. And until they exile it from the graveyard, you can still cast it for 2 black from the graveyard, because it's not hitting the command zone yet.
I mean, hell, you have something like Phyrexian or Phyrexian Altar or Ashnod's Altar, sacrifice a creature, you get the 2 mana, pump that into the casting cost for Ebon Death.
As long as you're not trying to cast Ebon Death by sacking it, because it does state you may cast Ebon Death Draco Lich from your graveyard if a creature not named Ebon Death Draco Lich died this turn.
Well, yeah, but if this is your commander,
yeah.
So, but yeah, still not my top pick. No.
What you got for us?
probably the one card that everyone was like, oh my gosh. So this is Circle of Dreams Druid. So it is a 2/1 elf druid for 3 green. So green, green, green. Mm-hmm. Tap, add green for each creature you control. Now, Matthew, I want to ask you a question.
Okay, I may have an answer.
Does this ability sound very similar to another card in Magic's history?
It kind of does. What was that card? What was that card called? Source of Plowshares?
No.
That's what it was? Oh, it wasn't Source of Plowshares?
Inkmoth Nexus? No, that's not it.
No, that wasn't it. Vandal Blast. That's right.
No. Tolarian Academy?
That's a land. I don't think it's the same thing.
But I thought it was the land. Sarah Sanctum? No, that's not it. No.
No, Sarah Sanctum taps for like Esper or something.
Yeah.
I think I know what it is. I think I know what it is. Something. Gaia's
Will? Oh, Gaia's Cradle.
Gaia's Cradle. That's the one that it was.
Do you have one?
I do not, because.
Why not? I mean, we've shown cards. I think the most expensive one we've shown was what, $30?
Yeah, I mean, it can't possibly cost more than $30.
Why don't you have a Gaia's Cradle?
It's a land.
Well, let's take a look. So Gaia's Cradle, it's a legendary land. Tap, add green for each creature you control. Mm-hmm. Now, let's do this. So let's see what the current rate is for a Gaia's Cradle. We're going to go to TCG. Oh, you can buy one for $840.
It dropped in price, actually.
It did.
It dropped in price.
The market price for Gaia's Cradle is $1,124.86.
It's a good
However, it is a fantastic card. I actually found one for $150. And I will show you. So we're going to go. And now we'll get back to the Druid. Right. But this is, they don't have it. What? Okay, so there's the gold bordered version of Gaia's Cradle from the World Championship decks. I don't trust that. Don't trust that at all.
Not. If you see a Gaia's Cradle drop anywhere below like its actual price, don't trust it.
Yeah. So
if you scroll back down, there was one heavily played, 725. Damaged, 750.
I like the ones that have the picture with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's definitely well loved. But yes, so this card is redonkulous. Especially like, again, we'll use my squirrel deck as an example. If I have 50 squirrels, I can tap Gaia's Cradle and generate 50 mana. Untap that again, I'll have 100 mana. It has the potential.
There's a card you should put in. It's called Nextborn Ancient. Yeah, if you want to see someone vomit,
that is disgusting.
If you want to see somebody vomit, play. if you have, let's say you only have 5 tokens. Let's say you only have 5 squirrels on the battlefield, right, Josh?
Yeah,
5 squirrels. You play Nextborn Ancient for its 7 CMC. But you have the Druid on the battlefield. Nyxbloom Ancient, apologies. Nyxbloom Ancient says if you tap a permanent for mana, it produces 3 times as much of that mana instead.
So let's do the math. You have 10 squirrels on the battlefield. You tap Gaia's Cradle, there's 30 mana.
Exactly.
You tap, and the reason why this is my top card, you tap Circle of Dreams Druid, you make another 30 mana. You have the ability to untap Circle of Dreams Druid and Gaia's Cradle.
You have so much mana that you will explode. Like, no matter where, you don't even have to be like in the Magic the Gathering universe. You could be you as a player. You will explode.
I feel this is
from the influx of green mana.
Green.
You become so small they might as well start calling you Garrick. Just
boom, boom, whoa. Oh man. Okay, anyway, back to Circle of Dreams Druid. This is a very crazy card. Now, is it easily removable? Yes. Is it very helpful and useful in the game, especially in Commander? Absolutely.
Freaking lootly.
If you see someone play this, you need to get rid of it because they're about to pop off.
Mm-hmm. Or they've already popped off and they just have this on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Get rid of this because it's gross. It's gross. It's not legal in Pauper and not legal in Penny, but in everything else, it is. Mm-hmm. It's just.
And to be honest, it's not even that extended art is
it's beautiful.
Pretty. But I mean, for a card of this magnitude, the fact that it's still sitting at $9, I would have expected this to be higher. I think the fact that it's so easily removed is the reason why it's staying at this mm-hmm. price point.
Because it is, in fact, a creature. Mm-hmm. Whereas Gaia's Cradle is a land, and it's a lot harder to get rid of lands than it is creatures.
Yep.
Because creatures can be removed with direct damage by combat damage. They can be gotten rid of by, like, let's say you have the card we just talked about, Inferno of Star Mounts.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of it. Or if you have, like, Terror of the Peaks, creature enters the battlefield, you deal non-combat damage is the word I was looking for. Non-combat damage to Circle of Dreams Druid. This
immovable rod will shut not only Circle of Dreams Druid down, but it'll shut down Gaia's Cradle.
Yes.
It's fun.
Yeah. It does say permanent on that, so
it does. So that
creatures are so much easier to get rid of than lands. You could play things like Strip Mine to get rid of Gaia's Cradle, Immovable Rod to get rid of Gaia's Cradle. You can Into the Moon, Back to Basics. There are ways to shut down mm-hmm. lands, non-basic lands, get rid of them, but they're few and far between compared to creature removal.
Yeah, you really have to play a certain way to be able to shut it down. So on the one hand, I'm glad that they designed this card the way that they did.
Mm-hmm.
To give people a chance to have a slight glimmer of what it's like to play using Gaia's Cradle.
It's pretty good. But
it is.
Those are our 10 cards plus honorary mentions.
We had a lot of honorary mentions.
We did. I mean, there was a lot in this set. This whole set, I wish we had time to discuss this whole set because there's so many fun cards in this, so many good cards in this mm-hmm. that I thoroughly enjoy it.
I feel like if you're wanting to get into Magic, this is the set to do it. It's a fun set to draft,
mm-hmm.
A fun set to build around for Commander, and just an awesome set. I would say it's been one of the more exciting ones. Strixhaven was fun. Don't get me wrong. I love Strixhaven. I feel Strixhaven.
I like Kaldheim. Kaldheim was fun.
Kaldheim was great.
Even Modern Horizons 2, even though it didn't have a story to it, it was just Modern Horizons 2.
Yeah.
Still a lot of good cards. I mean, we discussed that in our last card review channel or card review episode with Throsta, Tempest Roar. Love it. Love the card. But Adventures in the Forgotten Realms set was just absolutely marvelous.
Yeah.
Wizards did a great job on this. In my opinion, great.
I really hope
there's a few things that I personally would like to see tweaked, like the non-name dragons. I felt like they could have been a little different, but other than that, I feel like the set was really well done.
Yeah, I'm really surprised, and I'm gonna say I'm surprised Tiamat didn't show up on the list.
Mm-hmm. I didn't put her on the list because we've seen 5-color dragons before.
Yeah.
And she's not the most powerful of the 5-color dragons that we've seen. Like
no,
dragon,
Nicol Bolas.
Nicol Bolas. No, it's just, or Nicol Bolas isn't 5-color dragons, but
still,
we've seen a lot more powerful cards. T-Mat says whenever she enters the battlefield, you get to search your library for 5 different colored dragons or 5 dragon cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand.
Yeah.
It would be absolutely broken if you put them on the battlefield, especially since she cost 7. She cost 7 mana, so Wooburg +2.
Mm-hmm.
So white, black, blue, green, red, 2 generic. She's a good card. Don't get me wrong. I've played against her in Arena, but I felt like she wasn't my personal favorite.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy finding the so this is the other thing that was my favorite thing out of the set is if you buy packs on the back of the artwork cards,
mm-hmm.
if it was like a specific monster, you got the dungeon or the character words. Why can't I freaking speak? The monster stats on the back of it.
Yeah.
So I got one that was T-Mat, and so I got the T-Mat stats on the back of it. So that was really cool. I got the Mimic Troll. It was awesome.
For an example, I'll bring up. So here's the Drizzt Jordan art card.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. And it's on the backside. Whoop. Oh, not available. Scryfall. Oh, you're killing me.
I've got a couple of them sitting around here somewhere over the rainbow. Don't cancel me, please. Those are all the dungeons. I moved some stuff around on my desk, so I may not have them just sitting available.
I thought it'd have the backside.
Oh. Here we are. That's arts. Oh, these are all the artwork cards that didn't have them.
So some of them.
Found one. Okay. Kobold. Found my kobold. So on the artwork, it shows the kobold on it.
Okay.
My camera would zoom in and there it is. Wonderful artwork of the kobold. And then on the back, it has the monster stats on it. So kobold is a small humanoid, challenge rating of 1/8, armor class 12, has 5 hit points, speed of 30 feet, attacks as a dagger and a sling, and then it has its stats, which is 7 strength, 8 intelligence, 15 dex, 7 wisdom, 9 constitution, and 8 charisma.
That's so cool. So cool.
Kobolds are cute. I've got the Mimic, Basilisk, Tiamat, Etten, Mind Flayer, Owlbear, Purple Worm, Dragon Turtle, Troll, Beholder. And I absolutely love the fact that Wizards did that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah. They did such a great job with this set in general. So it gives me hope for other potential crossover sets.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So, because I know there was...
They're doing like a cyberpunk theme for Return to Kamigawa.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be cool. I'm interested to see how they do that.
You know what I want? Wizards, if you're listening, Gavin Verhey, if
Gavin, hey Gavin,
I'm gonna call people out. Gavin, Mark Rosewater, I want to see a Return to Phyrexia set, kind of like what you did with Time Spiral Remastered.
Mm-hmm.
Do a supplemental set with Scars of Mirrodin, Beseech, and New Phyrexia.
What I'm kind of hoping for, and what I'm kind of looking at. So, you know how in Kaldheim they had Vorinclex, right? Mm-hmm. So, I'm thinking in Kamigawa they may have Jinkataxias. If they are doing what I think they're doing, which, you know, the Omen Paths opened up, which is essentially allowing multiple things to planeswalk, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially how Vorinclex got to Kaldheim, if I'm understanding the lore correctly. Because the Predators, the Phyrexians, they can't planeswalk.
Oh.
So I'm wondering if somehow opening up the Omen Paths or maybe one of the Phyrexians discovered a planar bridge and discovered how to do that. If that's what allowed Vorinclex to hit Kaldheim, maybe Jinkataxias is in Kamigawa or one of the other Predators.
That would make sense because I mean, like you said, we got a new version of Vorinclex.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder what plane Elish Norn.
I have no clue. All I know is that if we're doing a cyberpunk theme for Kamigawa, Jinkataxius would kind of fit in that area.
I think the one thing, and this will be kind of a good way to wrap it up. The one thing that is coming out, well, the sale has ended, but I will do a special opening of a certain secret layer that I had to get.
Of course.
The original Praetors, all in Phyrexian. So when I get this, expected shipping is for October. I will do a box opening on this channel with that secret layer.
I still have yet to see my secret layer that I bought back in February.
That's not boding well for me.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just because it got lost somewhere, because I never got an update for it. But I bought the one with the giants in it, with the Kaldheim.
Oh yeah, giant. right after they banned
Uro. I bought that one. I've yet to see it, and I bought it specifically so that way I could put the artwork Kaldheim, or the Kaldheim artwork cards, into my giant tribal deck.
Yeah. Well, Wizards, come on. Let's get to work.
Wizards don't run the secret layer.
That's true.
It is what it is. If it comes, it comes.
It'll be an exciting day, and maybe do a box opening on that.
I may. But anyways, I believe that's where we're going to end our episode.
Yeah.
So
this was fun. If you guys haven't picked this set up, go to your local game shop, support the local game shops.
Oh, yes.
Pick them up there.
But anyways, as always, thank you all for joining. If you like this video, give it a like. If you think, you could do it, have a better combination or better combo, or your favorite cards out of this set, leave them in the comments below. I try to go through and read all of them and reply to everybody. So just thank you for being here. And as always, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, this is Nightlight tapping out.
Peace.